Tonight on CTV News, we have the March for Our Lives demonstration, as well as a look into how men at CSU are trying to deconstruct what the friend zone actually means.
Later on, we have how campus faculty and staff have started incorporating inclusivity training at CSU. And are you curious why so many students walked out last Friday? We have the answer here tonight on CTV 11 News starting now. Fines have been distributed following the kickoff of the ASCSU presidential campaigns, and be prepared to have a higher level of cybersecurity on campus. Good evening, CSU. I'm Kiaira.
And I'm Sydney Paul. Let's get started. Last Saturday, demonstrators in the Fort Collins community gathered in Old Town Square to be a part of March for Our Lives, a movement dedicated to student-led activism against gun violence. This was just one of many marches that were taking place throughout the country.
Close to 1,000 people gathered in Old Town Square to support March for Our Lives last Saturday. Fort Collins for Progress, a nonprofit community organization dedicated to promoting progressive values, coordinated the march and invited a variety of activists to speak on stage.
And we need to treat it like one.
Once I just kind of understood that you can actually change political action with your personal opinion, I decided that I need to talk to as many people as I can, as fast as I can, to get it changed as quickly as I can.
Demonstrators joined in chanting campaigns to advocate against gun violence.
Change is now! Change is now! Change is now!
Several other nonprofit organizations like Moms Demand Action joined the march in support.
Well, we're here today supporting the students. I mean, up until now, they've been affected by this gun violence, but they have not had a chance to really speak out. And with the Parkland shooting, that has just opened up this whole amazing group of students that are just committed to making a difference.
Community members and student activists hope that the march will encourage a progressive conversation that will also educate the public on other places where gun violence can occur.
Gun violence is an issue that not only affects the people that most of the people here today have been talking about, students in schools, but gun violence is an overarching problem in our society that hurts people from every walk of life.
A wide variety of ages attended in support of the march, and it did not go unnoticed.
When I was in high school, it was Vietnam, and we were marching. Senior citizens didn't march with us. Today, we're seeing the whole family out marching.
Back then, we didn't have the intergenerational support, but we do today, and so that's what gives me hope for the future.
The March for Our Lives campaign plans on continuing to educate the public on gun violence in an effort to advocate changes for stricter gun reform policies.
As the ASCSU presidential race continues, the first campaign violations have been charged. Alec Bruce and Marina Winchell received their first violation the week of March 19th, following the publication of Bruce's last opinion column for the Collegian. Bruce and Winchell were both previously employed for the Rocky Mountain Collegian newspaper. Bruce was the former Collegian opinion editor, and Winchell was a former reporter for the Collegian Arts and Culture Desk, while both individuals have participated in CTV. Elections manager Tyler Seary explained the violation regarding the article stemmed from the fact that the article ran before the official time of campaigning. There was some debate over whether or not the article initially counted as campaigning. Seary wrote in an email to the Collegian. The Elections Committee, through discussion, came to the conclusion that the content of the article constituted campaigning, which is not allowed before the official start time. Bruce explained in an email to the Collegian that the newspaper was distributed on campus prior to 8 a.m., and this is a violation to the ASCSU Elections Code that states campaigns cannot begin prior to this time. A member of an opposing campaign filed a complaint, and after investigation, Bruce Winchell was found guilty by a vote of 8-3 and was fined $50.
Men in the Movement, an anti-violence initiative created by the Women and Gender Advocacy Center geared towards male-identifying students, held an event to talk about the friend zone on Monday evening. The talk was open to all genders, and participants discussed the dangers of society's expectations of masculinity and the effect that this can have on relationships and friendships between men and women. Members hope that events like this one will help raise awareness about the issues such as gun violence on CSU's campus.
Real issue that happens in our society and on our campus. And so understanding these issues is a good way to take a step towards stopping that kind of violence.
For more information on Men in the Movement, you can visit meninthemovement.blogspot.com.
With increasing issues of data leaks in the digital era, CSU will require students, faculty, and staff to use a two-factor authentication system beginning April 25th. This will require users to use two different methods to identify themselves, such as entering a username and password by adding a second level of authentication to the login process. Dave Hoffman, the project manager for Academic Computing Networks and Services, says there are two reasons to use the two-factor authentication. One, to better protect personal identity information of each individual on campus and to protect the intellectual property of the university, such as research information. At CSU, users will be required to use a phone or another token in addition to their username and password in order to complete the login. Registration for a second factor device began March 19th, but students and faculty can still register a second device by clicking on the Sign Up Devices button on the authenticate.colostate.edu website.
Yesterday, CSU faculty and staff gathered in the LSC for an Inclusive Excellence training. This was the second training of a three-part course through which participants can receive a certificate at the end should they choose to complete all the courses. The session, taught by Director of Campus Activities Lance Wright, says the importance of exploring one's own identity and understanding how privilege, power, and bias plays out on campus. The goal was to help faculty and staff acknowledge different identities in order to help make them more inclusive supervisors. This event is one of the many opportunities provided by CSU that focuses on making the school a more inclusive campus.
I think that the inclusivity training is definitely beneficial, and it seemed like a lot of supervisors really enjoyed it.
I think it's so great that we're doing stuff like this to make our campus a more inclusive place.
Definitely. Well, thank you for joining us tonight on CTV News. That's all the time we have tonight.
But don't go anywhere, because up next, Edgar Cedillo will let you know if snow is in the forecast for this week or if springtime will start to warm things up.